Now, this is the process of shaming. Can a pessimistic, negative parent use anger, criticism, and impatience to shame and drive out the free child? Is that what happens? I'll tell you that's exactly what happens. These children come into the world, they are innocent, they're kind, they're open, they're free, they want to enjoy life. There's nothing written on there. And pretty soon the parents are saying, you have to do this for me to love you. You do this, so da-da-da. And you got to do this. And the child begins to adapt. And they begin to try to become something they are not. They feel that what they really are is insufficient. And so they begin to arrange their lives and they get into this big hypocrisy. And they build this shell around them to protect themselves. This pseudo-self. And this child builds a person that they think will be acceptable to mom and dad and to the world. And what it is, it's a prostitution for love, isn't it? It's giving up your integrity for love. All right, the parent ego state. Critical, controlling parent on one side, nurturing parent on the other. Now there's a phenomenon in psychology that is called splitting. And this is when a child is younger and not into formal operational thinking yet. They do not think like you and I do. They cannot hold in their minds and evaluate two abstract ideas. They cannot do it. They cannot understand that mother is controlling and critical and angry, and that the other side is nurturing. The angry parent versus the sweet, loving parent. The biggest heat received by the negative parent. So the child splits off the loving parent, retains the angry parent, because they can't keep both of these concepts in their mind at a time. So they believe that the parent is angry at them, and they always blame themselves. They don't say my parent is a critical, controlling parent. They say my parent is angry at me because I'm not worthy, I'm not good. And this criticism begins to give an impression to the child that they are not worthy, that they are not good. Now, when you don't feel worthy and you don't feel good about yourself, you do not want to open up to your wife or anybody else to be intimate, because you will be rejected, because you don't feel worthy. And I've caught myself asking my wife several times, do you love me, Lily? And she'd say, yes, I love you. Why do you always ask that? Yes, I love you. Because when the home I came from, an alcoholic home, a critical father, a raging father, always in crisis, codependent mother, went to 14 schools before I graduated from high school. I didn't feel worthy. They were angry at me. And I had needs. I wanted love. I needed that validation. And mom and dad were so locked in their marital problems and in this phony game of alcohol and codependency that when the kids went to the mom and dad, they weren't there for them emotionally. They were so spent and so involved in their games that they were not there for us. And because they weren't there for us, we began to feel that our needs were not important and we were not important. I was trained to think about my father's needs and their problems. And how dare could I come up with a problem and be so selfish about my stuff when they had all these big problems out there. And therefore I was ashamed of my needs. And I'd say, I don't need anymore. I don't need those people. And I don't need love. And I began to shut down. But I asked my wife, do you love me? And she said, yes. Why would I ask that? Because I see nothing inside that's worthy of love. Nothing worthy of love. Do you think people like that want to be intimate and expose themselves for rejection, further rejection? They do not. And so they shut down. And intimacy becomes a very difficult thing. And they shut down their emotions. They shut down their feelings. And that comes from critical, controlling parents. The critical, controlling parent is a very, very destructive person. Very powerful. Very destructive. Now, this is the parent trap of shaming our children. Another attempt to control. All parent traps shame the child. Perfectionism shames the child. Nobody can be perfect. Unrealistic expectations. We expect you to do all this and that and the other, and the child always fails. They can't live up to their parents' expectations all the time. Criticism is a trap. Raging is a trap. Nagging is a trap. Rescuing is a trap. What do we do when we jump up and rescue? Let's look at this. What is the message? When we rescue our children, it's another attempt to control. The developmental psychologists tell us that at each of these stages, there is a developmental crisis in the child. And you can look at it. I just want you to look at ages 6 to 12. And what they're teaching us is this. There's a little window of time there between age 6 and 12 when children must learn to work. They have to learn the work ethic. If they don't learn the work ethic during that time, they carry a deficit into the next age level. Now, they must learn to work and develop a sense of industry to gain confidence that they can produce and the skills to work. I can remember when it happened in my life. I was probably 8 years old, and I had worked really hard, and my dad said what a good job I had done, and I felt so good, and I can remember thinking, the feeling when you work is better than the feeling when you play. It's a better feeling to work than it is to play. And I can remember that, and it was a powerful day in my life when I felt that. But if a child doesn't learn that and learn to love work and develop a sense of competency and develop the skills, they will develop a feeling of inferiority because they've not coped with the problems.